Hi, everyone, and
Hi.
welcome, Danielle Wickes. I'm Sam of Sam's Beat Shop. I'm so excited to be continuing our knotting series. This is a 4-part series that we started last Saturday. And Danielle has been so kind to teach basically the ins and outs of like knotting 101. So like last week we covered basically the basic knotting with Danielle's 2-card technique. And then this week, we're going to be covering a little bit of a different technique, which Danielle will explain shortly. And then we have 2 more Saturdays to go in our naughty February. So I'm so glad you've joined us. I see we have some new faces in the comments. Definitely say hello if you're here. We like to chit chat and hang and just have fun during these classes. So I hope you enjoy and learn a lot from Danielle's wealth of knowledge. Danielle, I'm going to pass it over to you to give us a little overview of today's class.
Sure, yeah. As Sam was saying, last week we covered knotting where both cords go through the beads. I'll try to show you guys up close. And we did that with 2 cards, and we used clamshells. And so today's class is a little bit different. This is a technique where the cords, one goes through the bead and the other goes around the outside of the bead. And it solves 2 problems. One is it solves the problem of getting both cords through a bead, which can be challenging for some beads. And then the other thing that it solves is it gives you the ability to use different endings, and it can make more flexibility for putting different size beads and getting different spacing. So it's just a really fun technique to play with. That is, just another great addition to your bead skill toolbox. And it can be done with lots of cords. You can do it with silk. You can do it with hemp. Waxed linen is another great medium. Most of the text fibers will work. Anything you can get through your bead will work with this technique.
Super cool. Oh, I'm so excited to try this one out because I tried last week's technique. I finally got to finish my project and it was so fun. Like I didn't realize how much I've been craving just a new technique. I've been doing wire work and a little bit of stringing, and that's basically it for all my jewelry making. Just getting to do something new. I have my piece here. It's just like, oh my god, it's just fun just to try something else and have a new medium. I shared the photo in the main group. I won't be able to see it too well, but it's using some various glass beads and the technique we used last week. This is size 6 silk cord. It's just fun. So if you're watching this and haven't tried knotting yet, like go ahead and try it. And I made plenty of errors on my first one, but like it's just fun. Just to try it out for the first time. I think everyone will have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, it's really fun, and just give it a try. See if you like it.
Sweet. All right, you want to go ahead and switch your camera? Let's do this.
Let's see if it will let me.
Danielle has a very fancy camera. She can just click the button and then.
Sort of. Well, the clicking takes.
This magic. Look at that.
There we go.
Oh, there it's focusing. It's focusing.
Thinking about it. All right. I'm gonna get my light closer. Okay. So, how does this look, everybody? Is this okay? It's good. So these were the samples I was holding up, and this one at the top is the one we made in class last week. And you can see that it's got both cords going through, and we ended with clamshells. And then so today's class, we're going to show how to do that same technique with the cord coming outside. So here's just an up-close view of that. And there's lots of spins on this. Earlier today, I was just playing with the wildflowers, and you can do the same technique with that. And also there was a question last week about, hey, I don't have clamshells. What can I use? So I thought at the end of showing the clamshell demo, we can show this one. I'm thinking, well, we should have time. I have a sample ready to go where I can show starting and ending that. So
and that's just going to come right onto a jump ring, yeah?
Yeah, just right onto a jump ring. And there is also the alternative of a wire guardian. And the technique is the same for both. So there's one with a wire guardian on it. And that's one of those tiny little quartzites. And this is number 2.
Oh, pretty.
I was going to start today, because last week focused on number 6, start today with a number 2. This technique will work with either. You can use 6 or 2, whichever you like. But I thought I'd start with 2 just because we didn't do it yet. So let's give that a try. I'm using black, so it will be easy to see. And on my first demo, I'm going to use some clamshells. And oh, I forgot to show you the other one. So I do have a sample ready to go. Look at that. It's so gorgeous. Oh my gosh. It came out really pretty. I'm excited about this one.
That's
this is my reminder tool.
The tourmalated quartz and then the Buddha, the chematite Buddha.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, what a smart combo. Amazing. Every time you post something in Gem Chat, I just feel like, oh wow, I really never would have expected those 2 things together yet.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I always kind of just try something new. I think it's because I've been doing so many projects that to keep my interest, I have to try something a little bit different. But so when we get to the, I'm going to demo starting it first. So when we get to the end, I can show you guys. It's my note to myself. So I have a tendency to do a knot on my last bead and not remember not to do that. So that was my reminder. So I'm going to unwind these silk cards. Oh, and a quick overview of the clamshells. We did this last week, but there's 2 kinds. Some of the clamshells have a loop built onto it, and you would just put a jump ring through it after you close it. See, it's on both sides like that. Close it, put a jump ring through. Super easy. There's another style that has this unformed, like kind of hoop on the top. You'd close it first, and then you would use round nose pliers to roll it into a circle. And so to show you guys that. The cards look like this when you open them. And there's a needle. The needle's stuck underneath everything. The best way to get these started for unrolling them is to pull this strand right here. That just makes it a lot easier. And again, for this project, just like last week, we're going to need 2 cards. So I'm just going to quickly unroll one. And I have another one over here that's ready to go. The needle is the last part to come off. So there. And so if you're using the this kind of silk, you'll want to work to the end of your strand. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Because each of these cards has 2 meters of thread on it. You will get more than 1 piece of jewelry out of these cards. So the needle part is, you want to keep the needle part on. So you want to work with the end first. So I'll show you what I mean. Here we go. There's my 2 needles at the top. I'm gonna, remember last week our traveling? I'm gonna travel all the way down to the bottom, 2 meters away, all the way to the bottom. And when you get here, you want to tie an overhand knot. And you'll need, so you can do this without, but it's a lot easier with tweezers. Beading awls can also work. You can even use some fine chain nose pliers if that's what you've got. But I like to use knotting tweezers. That's my favorite. And so doing the overhand knot, just bring the knot around. So this is the tails here. Lay that across your hand and then just roll around across. And I usually pinch this part. Let's show that one more time. Pinch this part right here, that crossed part. And then try to bring those tails, both tails, through the hoop. And then it's a long journey. There we go. So now you've got a hoop right here, make it a little smaller. And this is where the tweezers are helpful. On this first knot, you don't really need them, but just a demo, you go through the hoop and then pinch both of those strands and then pull your knot. And then when there's a bead on it, this is more important, but you pull each strand individually, take the tweezers out, and then pull the 2 strands apart. I'll tighten it up quite a bit. You get a nice little knot there. Okay, and then what I'm doing now is I'm traveling back to get my needles. I do this so I don't get a tangle I'm just kind of pulling it through, got to the needles. And I'm going to grab this clamshell here. When you're starting your design, I'm going to go through the Pac-Man side. With both the needles. It can be a little tricky to get them both through, but there we go. So both needles are through the clamshell. And then I'm going to pull it all the way to the bottom and tuck my knot inside. All right. And so there's the knot in the clamshell. And if you wanted to, you could put your glue on now. A little bit of hypo cement. Let it sit. I'll probably do that at the end just to save time. But you'd knot it and then just let it stay in there for a minute. And then once the glue is dry, you come along with your tool and trim those tails a little bit above your knot. I'm going to go ahead and bring on a bead. So the beads that I'm using today are these rutilated quartzite. They're an Indian cut. The hole is tiny. And these are kind of similar to the ones that we were trying to get on the twos last week. And so I tried again, through the week, trying to get both through so we could get that, achieve that look where, where both cords go in the bead, but it didn't work for me. So I went for this. What I did is I just put one strand through. And when I do the traveling down to the bottom, I'm going to pull both strands as if they were both of the bead, just to keep them together. And again, to prevent getting a knot, which it looks like I already kind of got one right there. There we go. So yeah, traveling with both strands, just kind of between your thumb and your forefinger. Okay, so here we are. We're down here. You have the cord through one cord through the bead and the other on the outside of it. Here's our clamshell. Let's bring it down and just tuck it up next to it. And do that same knot, our favorite knot. Overhand. Pull it through. And then bring the tweezers inside the hoop. And then pinch both of those strands. And this part can be a little tricky because you see this one's not connected. So what you might have to do, and it gets easier after the first one, bring it up like that and then pull it a little bit tighter. And you'll get a feeling for this. After you've done it 3-4 times, it'll start to feel like you'll know how to get it to look like that. It's just one of those practice techniques. So I'm pulling each strand before I remove the tweezers to get the bubbles out. Now I'm pulling the tweezers out. And again, I'm going to pull the strands apart. Not going too crazy, but I'm pretty tightly pulling. So there's the first one. Totally different look, but it's a really cool look. See it? I don't know. I think it adds interest to a piece, especially if you're using colorful cord like this. Same stone, different cord colors, so you can get the idea of how pretty that is. So I'm gonna do
we have I think there's 5 or 6 colors that John Bead makes that you can find at samsbeachshop.com. There's black and gray, light pink and white, and you can there's a whole array. And then if you're in other cord types, there's even more bright colors that you can definitely get.
Oh yeah, there's just so many options out there. You can let your creativity go wild. So this is I've got another bead here. And so something I get asked a lot is, do I have to keep it on the same strand? You don't have to keep it on the same strand. And in fact, it'd be really hard to know which one it was, because after you do your knot, you won't really know which one you had it on before. And it doesn't really matter. So just whichever one you want to put it on is fine. And it can be different than last time. It won't look any different. So I'm just bringing it down. Bringing it down. This is a really fine look with the two. I like it. So it's just sitting right on top of that last knot. Got one cord through, one cord on the outside. And do that same knot again. Overhand. Pinch right there. And bring the cords through it. So go through that loop. And then again, you want to pinch both strands. And if you pull up on the one that's on the outside, or even just turn your tweezers, you can get a tight connection there, see? And now I'm going to pull the top working strands, make that loop get tighter. Pull one strand at a time to get the bubbles out. See, there's a bubble right there. Get that to go away. Okay, tweezers out, and one more tightening. And then I always pull this way too at the end, just to make it lay without a, without memory to it, so it doesn't like start to turn, things like that. And there it is.
Oh, it's so pretty. I love it so much.
Thanks, Sam.
The black with the light quartz is actually quite stunning.
I'm really liking it. I'm gonna have to make this one full length because it's very pretty.
Are you thinking necklace for this one?
I wasn't sure. I'm gonna need more of the quartz though because I've only got this.
Oh, crud.
I know where to get it. And then I do have a necklace already. This one is my necklace.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be really great. What do you think? Does everyone want to see the knot one more time, and then I'll show ending it on the other piece?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just going to go through again with one of the cords. And then see, I'm just going to pinch the two needles at the top. I'm trying to think about what I do. There's a lot of motor memory here that you will develop and you won't think about it anymore. And then when you go to teach it, you're like, what am I doing? I don't know. But you'll get it. You'll get it figured out. And it's just really fun. It's actually meditative, I think. Like so much in beading. It's really soothing. So yeah, that looks good. And I'm gonna pull the same technique for knotting, pull the cords over my hand. And cross, pinch right here. Pull through. So going through the hoop, pinch both strands, and they'll be spread out like that at first. Don't sweat that. Just bring it closer, just pinch it. And pull tight with one and the other. Remove those tweezers. One extra tighten. And see that curl? So I was trying to explain earlier with the curl. We get rid of that by doing this last pull. There it goes. And that's pretty much all. You would just keep doing that. Keep doing that until you reach the length that you want. And then when you get to the end, I'm going to put this aside for just a sec and grab the other one. And so this is the one I made earlier today. I'm going to uncoil this really quick. This was another full length one when I started it. So there's a lot of thread on here. And I will be able to make another piece of jewelry with what I have left here. Even on a necklace, because this is going to be a 15-inch necklace. And I was going to do a suede ending on it with the alternative to have it be short. By putting, a lobster claw on either end. Okay, so what I had here, I'm going to pull this bead off so I can show it again, but let's see. There it goes. Okay. So I got to my last bead. I did the same knot that we just demoed. And now I'm ready to put my last bead and clamshell on. And Also, this is a really good place if you have a bead on your strand. I mean, these are natural stones, so every once in a while you're going to get one with a little crack or a little ding. This is the place to use that bead, because see on this one, there's just a little bit of a divot. It's still a beautiful stone, and I want to use it. I don't want to waste that stone, so I'm going to use it on my clamshell side, because I'm not going to knot on this side. So I don't need my knot to sit securely on top of anything on this side. It's a great time to use a bead like that. And again, I'm just going to string one strand, not both, just one. And then travel down. I've got a little bit of spin in there. I'm going to get that spin out. There we go. Okay. All right, now this is where we would normally start another knot. And I have to remind myself not to do that here. That's my little note. I mean, some people knot against metal, but then most traditional knotting, there isn't a knot before, you know, the first bead after the clamshell. And the same on the side where you're ending it. If you put a knot there, don't worry about it, because I did that here and it was fine. I mean, it happens, right? But if you're going for a uniform look, you don't want to not put a knot here. Okay, so got that there. And so here's the clamshell. Remember when we started, we went this way, the Pac-Man side. We need to go the other direction this time because the hook has to be on the top. So I'm bringing both needles through. And pulling it down. And that's my loose bead there. And the clamshell. And this is where ending with clamshells, I think, is the easiest and also the most beginner friendly, because it requires only the same process again. Whereas I'll show you next, the jump ring style is a little bit more tricky, but doable, but just a little trickier. But the clamshells, I think, they just make it so easy. So we did that same thing where we've got a hoop here, tweezers through the hoop, pinching both strands. And once you've got both strands pinched, push down into the clamshell. See, I've got my tweezers all the way down there. And hold it for just a second while you pull your loop. And as you're pulling your loop, if you've got one of these clamshells where there's one of these top hoops, you will have to guide it so that it doesn't tie itself around the back of it. Oops. And so my tweezers should have stayed put and I would have pulled each strand individually, but this is really forgiving because all I've got to do now is just pull these apart. Now it looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to quickly drop some glue in there. This is hypo cement. With hypo cement, it's got one of these little like precision applicators, and inside of it, it's got a pin. And the pin keeps the glue from gushing out. And it will definitely do that. So you want to have some plastic ready to set it down on, because the glue will just start rushing out of it. So there's that side. Okay, and now the fun part, trying to get this back in.
I had the hardest time getting the needle back in my hypo cement yesterday.
I know, right? It's like you just like while you're watching it like drip on your mat, you're like, come on. It helps to store it upright, I think, when you have it like on your desk and stuff, because the gravity assists there, you know. But
That's smart.
It was fun. And so normally I would let it dry for a little bit longer, but I'm gonna go ahead and trim it. When you trim above your knot, don't cut your knot and just leave a little tiny bit of thread so it doesn't unravel. Sometimes I use the height of my clamshell as my judge for how to get that right. See, there's just a little bit in there. Same thing over here. I'm just gonna throw my extra thread over there because I'm gonna use that later. Okay. And so for closing these guys, they're really easy to close. You just need some chain nose pliers and some round nose pliers. And I'm not going to put my findings on yet because I'm not sure what findings I want to do. Actually, I might do it a little bit when we do the Suede demo. But for now, I'm just going to close them and close the loops because you can just put a jump ring through it. I think last week I put my jump ring on while I closed it. That's an old habit from jump rings that weren't open, but you don't have to do that. And another thing to notice, so this happens to me sometimes. I have a little bit of thread sticking out here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but two things you can do. If you have a burner, you can burn it. If you don't have a burner, these flush cutters are perfect. You just come along and just cut right on the edge. You might have to do it twice, but it will eventually. Here we go. Not too bad. Same thing over here. Closing it with those chain nose pliers. Trim those extra ends there. Really clean look. Okay. Round nose pliers. These little loops here are open. So to close them, you just want to put, about when you're looking at it from, it's hard to show you, my camera's so low, but when you're looking at it from above, you want to kind of try to match the curvature with your round nose pliers. So it's probably going to be about a midpoint down on your chain nose, on your round nose. You'll see it'll kind of look like that. If that's easy to see, it's easier to see down here, I think. There we go. Okay. And as you're rolling it, just keep moving it up. There we go. So a little hoop there. And these are really good clamshells. I can get a jump ring through that, no problem. Same thing here. Just starting to round it, moving up. And there it is. So I'm going to set that aside. We'll finish that in a minute here. But I wanted to show another sample for anyone out there using either a wire guardian or a jump ring instead of a clamshell. So we're doing pretty good on time, right, Sam? We can show a alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we still got
rolling.
half an hour.
We're rolling. Okay.
We're rolling.
And so this is a little more tricky to do. And it can be done with both styles. So last week when we were showing this clamshell version, the only difference is that you'd have to do your knot up here and it wouldn't go over the bead. But this is actually easier for doing with a jump ring than last week's version because we have another place to make a knot. In traditional pearl knotting, what they do is they actually ream the 3 beads that are going to be on each end. And they do that with a reamer and they put the pearl underwater. And they do that because they need to get the cord through twice. They go up around a wire guardian or through, like if you ever heard of French wire, it's that coiled looking wire. They go up through that and then they bring both strands down through the bead and they knot, and then they trim one of the strands, not the rest of the strand with just one. But in this case, I kind of adapted it. I spun it around so that it could be a little bit different. And it will work with 2 different ways you can do this. You can do it with, essentially this is done with 4 strands almost. I started it that way and then I had 1 strand going in and 2 on the top. Or actually it might have even been, yeah, it was actually 4 strands, 2 inside and 2 on the top. I'm already forgetting. I just made that an hour ago. And then this one, it was 1 strand inside, 1 strand outside. But the same way of beginning and ending it. Okay, so I have this one ready to show the ending. I'm going to show starting it really quick on a new one. So let me grab this cord I had a second ago here. I'm just going to lay that flat, and I need a jump ring. This would work with a wire guardian too. Wire guardian or a jump ring, whichever you guys prefer to use is really great. Okay, and then bring your, so this is the tails. My needles are on the other side. It's my tail side. Bring that through. And you need to give yourself a lot of room. You know, give about, this is probably at least 4 inches maybe. It does waste a little bit of silk, but you know, it's okay. And so this is my long end, and the camera's really low, but you can see this is the end that's short. We're going to coil the short end around the long end. You can do it without a tapestry needle, but this is at like a craft stores and places like that, or if you're a knitter or a crocheter or know somebody who is, you'll see these. They can either be metal or they can be plastic, and they come in lots of different sizes. They're really handy for a lot of things, not just this technique, but in jewelry making. It's another little great tool to add. And, you know, like I said, they're everywhere. You can get them in like the knitting section or the tapestry section. So I'm going to grab some of those sometime, you know, when you're out. It will help with this technique. And I'm going to get some flowers here. So I need to put a knot here. And I want to be able to tighten that knot at the end. Here's how I do it. I take my tapestry needle and I kind of pinch them all together right here. And then I take the short ones. Those are the 4 inches I left. And wrap around. And it is possible to do this without a tapestry needle. It's just a little trickier. Like we did it last week. You guys saw I fumbled with it a little bit, but you can get it. So now I'm going through the tapestry needle with those tails. And it helps that they're big. Get that to go through. And that last loop needs to go on that side of the jump ring. And this knot that I'm doing, it's diagrammed in the handout. It's diagrammed for the suede, which we're gonna do this with suede in just a minute, but it's diagrammed there, so you can see the structure of what I'm doing. Pulling those tails through, tightening it, tightening it. Now here's the best part of this kind of knot. See this gap here? We want that gap to go away, right? We don't want that gap to be there. So this is the short tails. It's right here. Set those aside for now. I'm pinching the knot with my thumb, pulling the long strands. These are the strands that the needle's on. Pull it. Tight. And so again, that structure is shown in the handout. And the best part here is that we've got these extra lengths of strands here, and then we've got these with the needles on the end, so we can start stringing. I'm going to bring one strand through. We have one strand on the outside. Now these are actually big enough to get two through, but I'm just demoing it this way because this week's technique is having the strand on the outside, but this will work with both strands. If your needle fits through the bead, you've got it. I'm just kind of straightening this out, bringing it down. There we go. So I'm going to snug that bead right up against the knot as close as I can get it. I'm running a set of the strands behind it, and one of the strands is through. And then we're going to do that same thing we always do. Overhand knot. Bring it all through. Pinching. Tweezers. And so we've got 4 strands going here. So it's going to be a little trickier to get it tight. But I'm going to just pull all 4 strands. Pull 1. And 2. 3. And this one, yeah, 4. And then remove the tweezers, and again, pull the 2 strands apart. And last but not least, just lay it flat. And so a couple things you can do here. You can either glue this knot now, trim it, or if you've got enough length, you can add another bead and do that same step again. And then you'll have another knot. And then you would just have 2 going after that, and you just keep knotting with your 2. And here's another alternative. I showed this one earlier. Well, hey, what if you ran this jump ring down to the midpoint of your 2 cards, your 2 strands, from the cards? You'd have this length to work with for the duration of the bracelet. I don't know if that makes sense, but you'd have, you take it off the card, find the midpoint, run the jump ring down to the bottom, do that same slip knot we did, and then you could knot 2 strands outside, 2 strands inside, all the way. So that makes the knots really thick, really big, like kind of a striking look versus that, which is what we did here.
So on that bracelet that you have, Danielle, that all those knots we're seeing there are 4-cord knots with the green flowers.
Yeah, so I thought of it so after cool. I did this one. I'm like, I was getting ready to burn off these ends and switch back to just doing 2 cords. And I was all set to do that, and I'm like, well, hang on. What if I just made these long enough to do my whole bracelet with? So I pulled off another card, and then I just went all the way to the midpoint with my jump ring. And yeah, there's so much you can do, so many ideas. And that was just, it gets a little bulky at the end, but it's the same technique I'm about to show you for ending. And it looks fine. Nobody even notices that.
Yeah. Can I throw a question at you that from Rachel Alice?
Sure.
I'll load it up here.
Oh yeah, so the reason I use it is because remember when we had first done this knot and there was all this space? It was so I could tighten it. It lets me tighten it. But I see what you mean. Like, why not just do an overhand knot after the jump ring? I think you could do that. When you get to this end, you'll have to do this slip knot though. And the only other thought I had on that was that it might not sit. So it's easy with a bead because the bead holds the knot where it's supposed to be. But on this, your jump ring is going to move around on you when you're trying to get your knot tight. But I do think it's possible, and I would definitely say try it. A lot of what I do here is just kind of maybe just have it from the way I've always done it, but that doesn't mean that the other ways won't work. I would say definitely try that.
Cool.
And so we just started that one, and this is the same exact thing. I trimmed, I glued my knot, and I proceeded on with just the 2, 1 strand going in, 1 strand going out. Same knot we did there. And now I need to end it. Let me show you guys ending it really quick. I think we're still doing okay on time. I want to make sure I leave time to show you guys that suede. But it's the same thing. So it's the same knot. Just a lot easier to see on the suede. Okay. And I'm going to end with one of these little red beads. That'll be really cute. Okay. And I'm going to need a gold jump ring. I thought I had one handy here. Let me grab one of those. Guys, I cleaned. Don't ever clean your desk. There we go. Jump rings here. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm stringing this bead. I got some twirl here. I'm just getting my twirl out. And I'm going to string one more bead. And notice I'm not knotting yet. I'm adding 2 beads and I'm not tying a knot. So you guys are either loving this or I've sent you scurrying for clamshells. I'm not sure which. So there's oh, another thought here. When you're doing the ending, it actually does help to put the bead on the same strand. And I put it on the wrong strand. So let me fix that really quick. It doesn't matter for any other part of the bracelet, but just this one part. You'll want to have both beads on the same strand. So that's this one for me. Come over here, string that. There we go. Just because they need to sit on top of each other, not slide underneath. We're going to do the same thing we did before. It's that same knot that you can tighten. I'm going to take both of these needles here on the end of my cord and go through my jump ring. Slide down. Okay. Tapestry needle with the eye this way. And pinch it. And see, I don't have to worry about space because I'm going to be able to tighten this knot at the end. And now I'm working with the long ones. Remember at the beginning we were working with tails? On this side I'm working with my long working strands. Just going around. It's less convenient because you have your whole bracelet in the way, but it works. Now I'm going to take the needles way over here. Go. And go through the eye. Bring that through. Now I'm going to pull it down. Okay. And so there's that gap. We don't want that gap there. So bring the knot down as close as I can to the bead. See, this knot moves, and that's why I like it so much. You get lots of flexibility. Bring it down close. Sorry if I was off camera there, guys. And now I'm kind of holding these so that they stay flat, and I'm going to tighten this. Oh no, my jump ring came off. Grab my pliers really quick. I pulled really hard on it. There we go. Okay. For some reason, it's not working as well as it did. Of course, because it's live, right? But the knot is supposed to tighten down really nicely, and it's not doing that. I might need to try again. Best part about this knot is I think I can undo it. Oh, sorry, guys. I demoed it.
No, I'm very curious to see you troubleshoot the knot. It's almost more helpful to see what happens when it doesn't work, or like what when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I think what I did wrong is I didn't get one of my strands through the loop very well. But now I've got a knot I got to get undone. Well, I was hoping to have that ready to go the way it's supposed to work when things go perfectly is you're supposed to have a knot that's pretty snug here, and then you bring both of your strands over this way. And let's see, we're at 346. I wonder if I can get my other one to show it really quick. I bet I could. This is why I like the clamshells though, because this is there's a certain trickiness to this that.
Not a knot and glue replace.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possible that you could just bring it over and overhand knot it, but what happens when you do that is you have your tails sticking in the wrong direction. And so this is just a way to make the tails go that way.
Right. You're a little off camera. I don't know if you're trying to show what you're currently.
Oh, there. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was trying to show that. I'm gonna try this again with a new set over here because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fix this in any. I can fix it later, but I'm gonna have to pick it. But I will fix it. Don't worry, because I love that design. It's really pretty. Okay, trying this again. Let me go through the jump ring. We can do a class on how to unpick a knot.
Right.
You know, right? Like 2 hours later.
I'm a big fan of the pencil.
Yeah. Okay, same thing here. Bringing this down. Getting that tapestry needle in there. I'm also using a really big tapestry needle so it can be seen, but really tiny thread, so it. There we go. Go around. Okay, and here's the needles. Bring those through. Okay. Okay, so there's that knot. And it worked that time. And I can tighten it.
Success.
Success. Yay.
I knew we could do it.
Yep. And so the best part of having the strand on the outside is it gives you a chance to not, with your strands showing on the outside, gives you a chance to get between these beads without having to go through the traditional pearl style where you've reamed the beads and you have to try to get the strand through it. You don't have to worry about that here because we're just going to go over the bead and then do another knot here. And the same thing as before, I'm just going to put the needle here, go around.
Oh, we're doing 2 slip knots to end it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, because they've got to go through, and the strands need to go in the right direction. So that's the only reason to do this ever. But having said that, I've seen beautiful designs where people just do a regular knot. But you wouldn't need a class to learn that. So I thought, well, let's teach something a little more, in the advanced realm, but also challenging.
Right.
Yeah. All right, there we go. So same thing here. I'm just pulling each strand alone, and there we go. We got our knot in between. It's not as tight as I would like it to be, but. And if you wanted to, you could just do another slip knot to tighten it up. You could go around again. But that's the basic idea. That is how I did this one.
Oh, that's 2 knots there?
Yeah, it's the same technique. It was just with 4 cords instead of 2.
Right. But for the second knot from the end, is that 2 slip knots?
This one, no. It's just that's how thick it would look if you do it with 4 cords.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so this was 4 slip knotted here and 4 slip knotted here. And this is the 2 and the 2. Because keep in mind, you've got, when I did this here, I'm 4 cords in, right? This is 8 because you're adding 4 to 4.
Right.
So it gets really tight. But I actually found this technique to be easier to do with more strands. I thought it was going to be really tricky. But everything was just, everything was tighter. But it worked. But if you were going to do this with clamshells, you would have an easier time than everything we were just showing. So it, and you could just do an overhand knot, of course. And those knots work too. And any knot with glue on it is going to be fine. It'll hold and it'll look great. Okay, so let's see. I was going to bring this back over. And remember when we were doing in the handout, we were showing, here's another example actually of a slip knot where I didn't cut my tails. Anyway, I was going to show how to do this really quick. If everyone's interested in that, just another really fun way to end a necklace. And also a cool thing about this is that if you don't have enough beads to make an entire necklace with, and you want to have the option of being long versus short, this is great because you can do adjustable at the top. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some jump rings. Start with one here.
What size suede do you like to use?
Let's see. I use either 1.5 or 2 millimeter, kind of interchangeably. This is pretty big. This is what is this one? My label came off. I feel like it's
3.
Oh, I feel like it's the 2 millimeter, but of course I pulled my label off of it. Why did I do that? I need to keep that. I need another tool. Wait a second here. Some flat nose. There's so many fun things to try with jewelry making. I have so much I want to show you guys. I'm gonna just get that jump ring on there. Okay, satisfying click there. Okay, so I'm gonna try to make that knot so that it'll connect. And I'm gonna come to the other side here. Okay. So this is really easy to do. You just bring it through your jump ring. Give yourself some room to work with. And you could use the tapestry needle for this, but I was going to show it without just in case someone wants to see how to do that without. And it's easier with large cord. But just going around. So see, very loosely coiled. And then coming up through that coil. This is the only part of it that's tricky. If you had the needle in there, you could go through the eye of the needle and use that to pull it. You could also try a drinking straw. That would work too. So lots of different ways.
How would that work?
It would work the same way the tapestry needle is, except for you'd put the suede, this tail that I just put through the coil, you would have coiled around the straw, and then you just bring this through that straw, pull it to the other end, pull the straw out, tighten it.
Huh.
And if you're using tiny leather, like what's it called? One of those cocktail straws will work.
Oh my goodness.
Or if you happen to have a cocktail straw handy while you're beading, you know.
Yeah, we all have that lying around, don't we?
Just saying. And see how that knot can be tightened almost right up against your jump ring. And then if you don't want it to be that tight, you just pull it back out. This is what I was going for with the silk earlier, and it wasn't cooperating with me, but this is the same exact knot I was doing there.
And do you like to put any glue in your suede knots?
No, I don't glue them because I might want to undo them. And this is very secure. It's not going anywhere. If you pull on this, all it does is tighten it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be wearing it this way with this being pulled on. So it actually will make it stay pretty tight. Yeah, and then just come along and connect the other side. And you can do this knot without a jump ring in it if that's easier for you. And then just add your jump ring later, which is what I'm doing here. Go click there. And there it is. I might have coiled it 3 times versus 2. So that's the difference between these.
Oh, that's so I love the I've never done that finishing technique. That's really cool.
It's really fun. It just gives a lot of possibility to your design. And then last week we were we were showing a version that was just kind of similar. You could do the same thing. So this is a bracelet, but if you wanted to, you could put a jump ring and a lobster claw on one side of your suede. So just pretending this chain is suede. And on one end of it, I put a jump ring and a lobster claw. You can turn your bracelets into a necklace that way. And then be able to have them be a bracelet again. And that same idea would work with the suede. You just put a lobster claw on there. But yeah, that's the whole thing for silk with some suede. And then next week we've got hemp. So this was done with hemp. And there's gaps between the knots a little bit. It's going to be really similar to what we did today as far as how the knot looks. But what's different is we're going to start from the middle so there can be a pendant. So that we'll be ending both ends after putting a pendant on and then knotting from the center up, If that makes any sense. So yeah. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to switch my camera back so I can say hi.
Yeah, I think I have a couple questions I'll pull up in a second, but I think what I love so much about, about the hemp is especially just the natural tones of the hemp are my personal favorite. But also there's a palette of blue hemp that John Bean makes that I put in the shop, and I think that might be what I try first next week with the hemp project, just because I know it's fun. I do have a couple questions. One came earlier from Michelle Spawn, wondering if having the cord outside of the bead makes the bracelet less durable. I imagine a light colored cord getting snagged or dirty. What are your thoughts?
It's possible. Yeah, this is definitely an alternative style, and it has its setbacks and it has its pros. It can definitely I have some that I've worn that have never broken and they've lasted me a long time, especially as a necklace. So especially if you're making a necklace, this is a great way to do it. But I totally agree. That's one drawback. It can break and it will get dirty if you spill wine on it, for example.
Well, then it's just fine. Then your course then you just have to pour wine on the rest, and then you're done.
And then it's got character and style.
Correct. See, I've never seen that. I don't carry any red. No, I have seen it, but I don't carry any red silk cord. There you go.
There you go. No, you're totally right.
Let's see. Amelia's saying, can you use that ending adjusting knot on the leather? Maybe she might be asking about how to adjust that knot, possibly.
Oh, yeah. She's asking about this one. It's the same knot, actually. It's the I thought my camera was on. Yeah, it's actually the same knot. So it's the same one we did here at the bottom, but it was just done where you lay one cord over the other, take the short end and just wrap it. Same way we did it.
Yeah, and so
twice.
The diagram for that is in the PDF packet that's posted in the files section of Gem Chat, and then we're also going to maybe update the Canva PDF, so there's like a final PDF with some extra info by the end of the month. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I missed. I know there were a couple more questions, but I think you actually addressed a lot of them as you went. So I'll go back through after the stream and make sure I didn't miss anything. I think we can go ahead and end it there. I feel like we covered a good amount today.
Okay, I hope so. Awesome.
Yeah. I just think this technique is so. I personally enjoy the look of the cord on the outside. So this will be fun to try this week.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I like it too. It's really, really pretty.
Yeah. Wait, we have Rachel's saying we need sneak peeks. of the upcoming projects. I don't know. Tomorrow.
Yeah. I'll post them to Gym Chat or via wherever. Where's the best place to post them?
Either is fine.
Either. Okay.
Rich, you mean sneak peeks of Newbie Sundays tomorrow if you're new around here, but I'll post some.
Those
later. I think that's what she means. But we don't do sneak peeks in the classes these days, Rachel. But maybe that's not what she was asking. Oh my goodness!
Tomorrow's sale.
Oh my goodness, we've got some fun stuff. I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Danielle. Really appreciate it.
I had fun. Thanks, guys. And thanks, Sam.
Yeah, I hope you have everyone has a great rest of their weekend and tries this out. And if you do try it out, post it in Gem Chat, which I'll post a link to right now. Yeah.
Cool. So cool.
Alrighty, we're signing off. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye, guys.